All right, you guys. So we're going to go ahead and start with your Pilates ball, and it's going to be going on your belly. So you're going to be laying on it. So you want to make sure that the ball is inflated just part way. You don't want it filled up all the way. It's going to be a little bit too much if it is. So we're just going to start you off laying on your belly. It's going to be pretty low, so a portion of it may even be on your pubic bone. And then you'll decide if you want to stay on your forearms or if you want to relax your forehead down onto the backs of your hands. And then once you have yourself settled in, we're going to start with some deep breathing. So focused breath. When you take a breath in through your nose, you'll feel the body press into the ball. And then when you exhale slowly through the nose, you'll feel that ball melt into your body. You might need to adjust a few times to get this where you can keep it for a while and be okay with it. If it's not, let a little air out of your ball. And then continue to breathe. So breathe in through your nose, again through the nose. Let's pause at the top of the breath this time. Hold the breath, hold the breath, hold the breath. And then slowly exhale. And then hold the breath out for a moment. And then do that again. Breathe in, big breath through the nose. And pause. Hold it. Hold that breath. Hold it. And then slowly we exhale. And then hold the breath out. One more time, just like that. Breathe in through the nose, holding that breath at the top. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And then slowly we exhale and hold the breath out. And then start to move your hips side to side. So the ball will travel across the lowest part of your belly. Again, a portion of it likely on your pubic bone, moving back and forth. And then you're going to move the ball up so it's more towards the belly button area. And then you'll decide again if it makes sense to stay on your forearms or if you want to melt your body over the ball and bring your forehead to the backs of the hands. And then check in, make sure it's a place you can keep the ball for several breaths. And then we start to breathe again, just like we did before. So breathe in. Feel your belly press against the ball. Pause. Hold that breath. And then you slowly exhale. And then hold the breath out. That ball will melt into your body. And do it again. Breathe in. Pause. And we breathe out. And hold the breath out. And one more time like that. Big, big breath in through the nose. Pause. And we exhale. Hold the breath out. Start to breathe normally, and you'll move your hips side to side. The ball will travel left to right. And then we'll move the ball up a little bit more. So you'll notice it's really starting to get close or even right tucked underneath your rib cage. And for this one, I'm going to stay up on my forearms. You can as well. Some of you will bring your forehead down. It's really up to you, but I'm going to stay right here. So breathe in, pause, and exhale. So that ball might even tuck underneath your rib cage, tapping into your diaphragm even more. And we breathe in again. Hold the breath. Slowly we exhale. Hold the breath out. And we breathe in. Pause. Exhale. And pause. And again, moving the hips side to side. That ball will move back and forth about the bottom of the rib cage right now. And then we're going to be moving the ball up to the chest area. So placing the ball so it is right underneath the collarbones. So find a place where it's comfortable-ish. And it's the same thing here, the breathing. So I put my hands on the front of the ball and rest my chin on the backs of my hands. That's what makes my neck feel good. Maybe you do the same. So breathe in, pause, hold the breath, hold the breath, hold the breath, and exhale. And hold the breath out. And we do that again. Breathe in. And we pause and hold. Exhale slowly. Hold the breath out. One more like that. Breathe in. And we hold. And slowly exhale. Hold the breath out. And then breathe normally. Bring your hands to the earth outside of your shoulders. And you'll let that ball travel from shoulder to shoulder. So slowly moving back and forth across your pectoral region. So all of what we just did from the bottom to the top, we're tapping into the front fascial line. And you may not realize it, but if you think about it, the whole front line, and if I send you a picture, it'll really make sense. But this is tapping into even releasing your jaw. So the rest of the line goes up the neck and connects into your face. So releasing the tissue in your torso, the belly region, like we just did, can even help you with tension in your neck or TMJ, that tension in your jaw or even your face. We'll also tap into specifically, but sometimes the pulling comes from somewhere else. So if you've got tension in your torso, it could cause tension in your jaw, in your neck, in your face. And the opposite end, it could also cause tension in your pelvic floor. All right, we'll go ahead and release that. Bringing your hips back towards your heels for about 5 big breaths, sending the breath all the way into the back of your body. See if you can think about sending the breath into the lower back. As deep as you can breathe. Additionally, when we have tension in our torso, that's part of what we just did. We're going to continue with this torso release. But it can cause issues with your shoulder range of motion. So if you've got issues going on with your shoulder, reaching overhead particularly, it might be coming from your middle of your body, not necessarily the shoulder itself. All right. So we're going to be taking that Pilates ball. It's going to be going on your right rib cage. I like a block to start for support for my head. We're going to start high, close to that armpit, and you're on your right side. So the reason I've got the block there is because my head doesn't comfortably touch the ground. If yours does, you maybe don't need the block. And again, we're starting pretty high. So way up high by the armpit area on that rib cage. And then keeping your knees bent for some nice support for your lower back, at least to start. And then we come into that same kind of breathing. So if you want a little reference to see if you're breathing deeply, you can place your hand on your belly or even your rib cage to see if you're expanding in all directions, that you're not limiting the breath into your chest. So you do want to breathe as deeply as you can, as expansively as you can. So however you need the feedback, I like to put my hand on my top rib cage. So breathe in deeply, hold the breath, hold the breath, hold the breath, and then exhale completely. And hold the breath out. We'll do that 2 more times. Big, big breath in. Hold the breath. Keep holding, holding, and exhale. One more time like that. Breathe in. Hold, hold, hold. And we exhale, long exhale, and hold the breath out. And then breathing normally. Bring your left hand to your left shoulder and start drawing circles with your elbow. Big circles, whatever your range is. And go the other direction. And then if your shoulder is okay with it, draping your arm up and over your ear. And then you have the option to leave your knees where they are, or you can extend one or both legs longer for a few breaths. So getting length through the whole side body. I like to bend my top knee and just straighten my bottom leg. But if you feel good to go both legs, that's fine. And if it feels better to keep them bent, that's also fine. Just getting some length through the whole left side body as we're continuing to do some myofascial work underneath us on the right. Big breath in and a long breath out. And one more like that. Big breath in and a long breath out. So we're going to move the ball down. So it was high on the rib cage. Now it's moving either to the bottom of the rib cage or even a little lower than that is fine. A portion of it will definitely touch the bottom of the rib cage, but it could go lower. The size of your ball will determine how much room you kind of take up on the side of your body, but do make sure a portion of it is still on the bottom ribs. I no longer need the block for my head. You may still need it. And then we come back to the breath. So breathe in, pause, and a long exhale. And we breathe in and pause and slowly exhale. And we pause. And again, big breath. Pause. Exhale slowly. And then breathing normally. You can do the same bent elbow version with the circle, or if it feels okay in your shoulder, the arm can be straight. And you can make this movement as big as your body will allow. And let's circle the other direction. And then we'll go back to that draped arm up and over the ear, if your shoulder will allow it. If it doesn't, just relax your arm on your body. And then remember your options. One or both legs could extend out. If that doesn't feel good, just keep the knees bent. And we take a few breaths here. And then we'll make our way off of the ball. We'll stay on our right side. I'm going to show you a few options here for a stretch on this right side. You'll definitely want your bottom right leg out straight. The left top leg will come forward in some fashion. It might be your knee or it might be your foot down. Notice I'm on my right forearm. Now, maybe some of you already feel a stretch if you get heavy through this side. Some options if you need more. Some of you might just slightly rotate forward. That might do it for you. Some of you might press into the right hand. Just make sure you're not dumping into your shoulder. That might do it for you. Some of you might like putting a block under the forearm. That might do it for you. So you can try all of those options. You're going to be here for about 5 big breaths once you figure it out. Every time you exhale, let that really stretch through that right side body. Again, for me, I usually need a slight rotation forward, which means my knee is on the ground here. That's what works for me. Everybody's a little different on this one. As long as you're feeling a stretch where we just had that ball before, you're good to go. 3 more breaths. One more big breath. And then we'll come off of the arm, off of the block, whatever you're on. Come onto your back and let your legs extend out, a little mini Shavasana, just opportunity to check in. Take a big breath in. Notice how one side feels compared to the other. For me, I often feel like, ooh, I can breathe really deep on the right side, but the left side feels stuck. Or I feel like this right side feels longer than my left. That's what I feel. You might feel something different. Once you kind of check in and feel what you feel, we'll start to move to our second side. So we'll take that ball way up high, close to the rib cage. Again, for me, I like the block for this one. My head doesn't easily touch the ground. I don't want my neck to get sore, so I support with the block. Start with those knees bent. And then again, however you want to feel your feedback, hand or arm can be on your top ribs, maybe on your lower belly, whatever gives you the feedback that you need to know that you're breathing deeply. So take a breath in, pause at the top, and hold and hold. Hold, slow exhale. Breathe in, and we hold, hold, hold. Slow exhale. One more like that. Breathe in. Hold and hold and hold. And a slow exhale. And breathing normally. Right hand to right shoulder, drawing circles with your elbow. So all of this work that we've been doing in and around our torso, go ahead and switch direction, of course, affects our diaphragm, our breathing muscle. Of course, focused breath will help our breathing muscle as well. Being able to take a deep breath, so important for physical and mental health. If it feels okay on your top right arm, you can drape it over your ear. And then you have your options for your legs. They can come out straight. Maybe just one comes out straight. If that doesn't feel good, you just keep them bent. Just getting a little length through that right side. Being able to take a deep breath will keep you physically healthy. Being able to take a deep breath will keep you emotionally healthy. So we'll move that ball down. So a portion of it on the bottom ribs, a portion of it down on that waist area. You may or may not need the block anymore. I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to move it and I'm rebending my knees. That's what feels good in my body. We come back to the breath, deep breath in. Pause. And it's a slow exhale. And we pause. And breathe in. And pause. Exhale. And we pause. And breathe in. Hold the breath at the top. Slowly exhale. Hold the breath out. Breathing normally. Circles with the arm. If you need to keep the elbow bent, you can. If you're able to do it with a straight arm, try a straight arm. Make the movement as big as your shoulder will allow. slow, intentional movements. And then we switch directions. And then draping the arm up and over the ear if it works for you. If it doesn't, you just lay your arm on your body. And then options for your legs. Maybe both go out pretty straight. Maybe the top knee bends. Maybe both legs stay bent. Really check in and see what works for you. Lengthening through the right side body. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. One more big breath. And a long exhale. And we'll carefully start to make our way off of the ball. We'll be stretching the bottom left side body. So the bottom left leg straight, top right foot or knee in front of your body. You can be on your forearm. For some of you, that's plenty. When you exhale, let that left side body get heavy. Some of you might slightly rotate forward. Some of you will press into your hand, lengthen. Some of you will bring your forearm to a block, and that will be what works for you. Once you figure it out, 5 big breaths. Every exhale, think of getting longer through your left side body. Couple more big breaths. And we'll start to make our way off of the elbow or the block or your hand. Come onto your back. A little mini Shavasana again. Close your eyes. Checking in. Notice when you take a deep breath. Do you feel like you can breathe deeper? Hopefully that's what's happening for you. And then once you've done your check-in, we'll start to move on to our next. So we're going to use either a block, or if a foam roller is a better choice for you, you can use a foam roller. We're going to be releasing the tissue on the right lat. So you're going to be using your block, or again, your foam roller would lay lengthwise. You're going to place your armpit area on the block. Block is going to be more intense than a foam roller because the block has a corner on it. The right arm will be on the earth. Left hand comes behind your head. Go and bend your knees for some nice back support. Make sure you're in the middle of the block or the middle of the roller so that when you roll front to back, you don't fall off of your block. Roll towards your belly, roll towards your back, roll towards your belly, roll towards your back. If you're doing this and no matter what you do, it's killing you, then maybe you place a towel or something between your armpits and the block or the roller. It can be really intense, especially if you're really locked up in your shoulder area. It can come from here. So you might notice it's a little uncomfortable. If you notice a place where you should stay for a breath or two, go ahead and do that. That might be rolling towards your back, rolling towards your belly, or right in the middle. I'm going to pause right here. This is where I need it. Couple more big breaths if you're pausing. and then we'll move again. If this was intense enough, you stay right there. If you need more, both hands behind your head. So once you take that hand off the earth, of course, now all of your weight is on there. So that's going to be more intense, not appropriate for everyone. If it's too much, put that arm back down on the earth. And then pausing at center, let that right arm come back down. Let your right ear drape over towards your right shoulder. And then you can just relax that left hand on your body and let your head nod yes. If you need support, you could place your left hand between your cheek and your shoulder, or you could slide a towel in there. So if the stretch is too much, you might need a little support. One more time as we nod. Yes. Okay, we'll start to make our way up and off of the block and we'll switch sides. So you might notice this side will be different. Very oftentimes, one side is very different from the other. So just pay attention, adjust your block as needed. Maybe you need more, maybe you need less. But once you get yourself situated, top hand supporting your head, bottom arm on the earth to start at least. And then just keep adjusting until you find something that feels like maybe a 7 in terms of intensity, not a 10. You feel like it's a 10 in terms of intensity, it's almost unbearable. You're really going to tighten up. You're not going to soften. It's too much. And at the same time, if it's like a 3, it's probably not enough either. So find that place where there's a level of intensity that's getting your attention. You can breathe your way through it. Hopefully it starts to get a little bit less intense as you continue to move. Or you can be still if you find a spot that needs a little extra. Maybe you pause right there. And then you will move again. Maybe both hands come behind the head if you need a little more. If you don't, then leave one hand on the earth. And remember, if it's too much, a towel between your armpits, just a little folded up hand towel can be helpful between your armpit and the block or the roller. And then we'll lay that bottom left arm down. Let your left ear drop towards your shoulder. Pause there for a moment. If you need a little support, your right hand could slide in there, or your towel again could slide in there. And we just start to nod the head like yes. A couple more times. We'll make our way off of the block or the roller. for the next one, you will need to be able to keep a tall spine. So if you're not able to sit with a tall spine, you might want to stand. It can be helpful to sit on a block if you're tighter in your hips. We're going to be addressing the tissue in the front of the neck. I'm going to come a little closer so you can see. So you do want to be able to have your hand ideally on your skin. So I always wear something that allows me to get to my skin. If you got a shirt, you can go under or through the top. You do want to have your hand skin touching the skin of your chest. And we're going to be pulling down on the tissue. I like to put my other hand on top for a little more. And then when you lift the front of your neck, you're not just dumping back. You want to think of lengthening. So we're going to lift the chin. You could even jut your chin forward. It's hard for me to talk and say that, but jut your chin forward. And then you just start to slowly move your head. If you're feeling it in the back, you're probably just dumping back. So think of length through the front of the neck. And just slowly moving. If you find a spot where it makes sense for you to pause, like I feel like my left side of the front of my neck needs it. So I'm pausing with my chin jutting up to the right. And then I start to move again. Maybe I switch the hand that's on the bottom after a while. If you have tension in the back of your neck, it very well might be coming from actual tension in the front, pulling your head forward. So if you're not addressing this part of your neck, you will really never get over the tension in the back of the neck. And we'll let that go. And then from here, you can clasp your hands behind you if that's possible. If not, just at least roll those shoulders down and back. So you could also just go here. We're going to drop the right ear towards the right shoulder and then tuck your chin back like you're trying to make a double chin. And then doing some of that nodding of the head again, like yes. Keep those shoulders back, whether you're clasped or at least roll the shoulders back. And then lifting the head, drop it the other direction. Tuck the chin back like you're making a double chin, and then nodding the head. And one more time, we go to the right. So instead of tucking back, we're doing the opposite. You're going to jut your chin forward and then nod the head. So just a slight variation. It will likely feel just a little different. And to the left. So over and then jut your chin forward. And then we do the nodding of the head. Just a little variation. Might feel a little bit different. Breathing. Oh, we'll lift up and out of that. If you're standing, you could come back to the earth. And we're going to find your double ball inside your tote. I like to use 2 Pilates balls for support under my belly. And guess what? You're going to get a little extra belly massage when we're doing this. A little more torso work. We're going to be placing the balls on the front of your right thigh. So we're continuing down the whole front line of the body. So the balls go right above the right knee, I'm placing my 2 Pilates balls under my torso, bending and straightening the right leg, addressing the tissue right above your right knee. You control the amount of pressure here. If I'm leaning more to the right and I'm lifting up, I'm putting a lot more pressure on there. If I'm more towards the center, even kind of leaning left, it's less pressure. So you do what you need to do for your body. Keep breathing, keep checking in. And then go ahead and extend the leg and shimmy that leg side to side. And then moving the balls to the middle of your thigh. You'll need to move the Pilates balls underneath you as well. And then we bend and straighten the leg, bend and straighten the leg. So if the front line, fascial line is tense, it of course will pull things forward. That would be, even if you're tense in your torso from doing what we think is great, which is, doing a lot of core work, which absolutely is very important to keep our bodies strong and healthy. But if we don't also do the release work, we'll get the tissue over tense, which will pull our bodies out of alignment, pull our bodies sort of forward, and our body will fight to get back into postural alignment, which means the whole back side of the body will pull, and then we start to have pain in our neck and our back to try to pull us back into postural alignment. So we want to keep, of course, all of the tissue, functioning and hydrated and pliable. But this front line is really important so that we can keep the back side of the body, which is where a lot of things show up, keeping that part happy and healthy. Extend that leg and shimmy side to side with that straight right leg. And then we'll move the balls to the top of your thigh. And again, you'll probably need to adjust the balls underneath your torso as well. Bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And extend the leg out and give it a little shimmy side to side. And then however you'd like to roll out the leg, you can do it section by section. I usually remove one of my Pilates balls so I don't end up rolling it all the way onto my face. Or you can actually roll the whole thing at one time. It's your choice if you want to do one section and then another section and then the other section. That's fine. You do what works best for you or what feels like it's serving you best. Some of both. Doing a couple more pushes and pulls. Make sure you do cover the whole leg. And we'll come off of all of your balls. And then we're going to lay down on your right side. You may want to block for your head. You may want to block for the leg that's coming in front of you. I'm going to show you from the back side first. So I'm laying on my right side. I'm supporting my head with a block, and I'm going to support my top left leg with a block in front of me. So you'll bend your right knee, and if you're not easily able to grab it, you may need a strap. Once you have the foot, you're going to move it back. So take a look at your screen if you don't what I mean. If I'm just bending this, I'm not feeling my quadricep at all. In fact, I might even start to feel my knee. So I need to move the whole leg backwards so that I feel my quadricep and my hip flexor. Then I can start to pull it in. I'd rather you feel more in the quad than the knee, the front of the thigh than the knee. So if you're feeling your knee, you might need to move the whole leg back and then start to work that foot, not just to your booty, but a little bit towards the ground. So it's not across the body like this. It's more towards the ground and back. And I'll show you from the other direction. So I've got support underneath my front leg so that my back is happy. And then I can start to maybe even roll my chest a little bit towards the ceiling. If that doesn't feel good in your back to roll towards your chest towards the ceiling, then just stay more on your side. So it might be too twisty for some of you. And if it feels like it's coming into your back no matter what, you might need even more support from your block in front of you, like a higher setting. Keep breathing. Think of lengthening through the front of your thigh. If you're feeling it just in your knee, remember, move the leg back. Don't worry so much about how much you're bending the knee. Try to relax that top left shoulder, not scrunching it up into your ear. 3 big breaths. And we slowly release. And then we'll start to make our way to the other side, the balls underneath your left thigh, and then 1 or 2 Pilates balls under your belly. So what I didn't mention earlier when we were working on the torso, and of course you're getting some bonus work here with the balls underneath you. This is really helping with recovery from anything respiratory. So the front of the thigh, bend the knees, straighten the knees. So the balls under your torso, tapping into your diaphragm and all the tissues in and around your lungs. You are helping with anything respiratory. That could be asthma, that could be COPD, that could be recovering from any other respiratory things going around. So if you happen to have any of that going on, this work is wonderful for you. Straighten the left leg and shimmy side to side. And then moving the tune-up balls to the middle of your thigh. You'll need to adjust the Pilates balls as well. Additionally, we are tapping into our vagus nerve. That's the bundle of nerves that runs from our brain through our face and neck, through our whole torso, tapping into literally every organ in your body. And that vagus nerve is the one where the bundle of nerves is responsible for allowing us to come into the parasympathetic state. So that's our state of rest, recovery. So if we stimulate the vagus nerve, which we are when we're working on the tissue in the neck, we're working on the tissue in the torso and the chest, when we stimulate that, it allows us to come into a parasympathetic state. Extend your left leg, shimmy side to side. Most of us spend the majority of our life in the opposite of parasympathetic. We spend the majority of our life in that kind of fight or flight state. It's appropriate at times. It's appropriate if we're truly in a stressful situation, if we truly need to have a lot of energy. But when we spend it in our 90% of our time in this state, it really sets us up for being ill. And moving the balls to the top of our thigh and bend and straighten. We do need to spend some of our time in the recovery state. Straighten and bend, straighten and bend. And let's shimmy that leg side to side. And then we'll iron out the whole leg. I usually remove one of those Pilates balls. And then you can do it section by section, or you can do the whole leg at once. It's really up to you, whatever seems like it's working for you. All right. We're going to move all those balls out of the way. 1 or 2 blocks, perhaps. You're going to lay down on your left side. Top right knee might be supported by a block. Your head might be supported by a block. Remember, the goal is to feel the front of your thigh, not your knee. So you'll catch that left foot behind you and then encourage it back. So I'm going to show you that again. Here's me just bending it. I don't feel anything except my knee here. I need to move it back. And then I pull it towards me and a little bit towards the ground. Maybe I even roll my chest a bit towards the ceiling to get what I really want to feel, which is a lot in the front of the thigh. If you need a strap, you'll use a strap for this. Try to drop your right shoulder down. Don't scrunch it up. And then you breathe. Settling in. And we're tapping into the front of the thigh, even into the hip flexor area, which again, notorious for becoming tense when we are in a fight or flight state. And again, appropriate if you're running from a tiger, you want your hip flexors to tense up so they can help you run quickly. But most of us don't really run into tigers too often. So we can allow ourselves to soften a bit. And as I mentioned earlier, when the front side of the body is tense, that could be your torso, that could be your neck, that could be your jawline, that could be your chest, that could be your thighs or hip flexors. When any of this is tense, tight, or stuck, as I like to call it, it's going to show up in the back side of your body. So that's why you oftentimes hear, oh, your hip flexors are tight. That's what's causing you your lower back pain. Deep breaths in, long breaths out. 3 more breaths. Slowly start to make your way out. And then we'll come onto hands and knees. Wrists right under shoulders, knees under hips, rounding your spine, tucking your chin, really pressing into those hands. So you're feeling a stretch through the whole back side of your body. And then when we lengthen, you want to think of pulling your chest forward, not dumping into the lower back. All around, tuck and round. And lift, and we lengthen, and tuck and round. And we lengthen. And then finding your way onto your belly, you're going to take your right arm straight out to the right. Roll that shoulder back. So if you're not sure what I mean by that, here's me not rolling it back. My shoulders dumped forward. Roll it back, which means when you roll on top of that arm, maybe you don't get to go as far. So if I'm keeping my shoulder rolled back, maybe that's as far as I get to go. Maybe I put a block under my head. Maybe I just support myself with my left hand. Maybe I step my top left leg behind me. If that's too much on your back, don't do that. What you want to feel is a stretch through mostly the chest, a little in the front of the shoulder. If it's only the front of the shoulder, you're probably letting your shoulder dump forward. So roll that shoulder back so that you're getting it into that chest. Some might keep a little bend in the elbow. Some of you, your arm will be completely straight. Play with it until you mostly feel the front of your right chest area, not a pinch in the back, and hopefully not just the front of the shoulder. If for any reason this doesn't work for you, you could take a wall version, which would look like this. You'd stand and take it to the wall. So the chest is another area that is notorious for causing tension in your neck. So if your chest tissue is locked up, and will pull your shoulders forward, which will make your whole neck fall forward. And that's going to make your neck go, wait, I need to be tall and in postural alignment. So the back of the neck will tense up to pull your head back where it belongs. It's just trying to help you. And unfortunately, that will cause you tension and pain. One more big breath in and out. And slowly we roll to the belly and go to the other side. So remember, you want to pull that left shoulder back, roll it down. So not forward, but back. And then we go into rolling onto the left side. So maybe a block would be helpful or a pillow under your head, maybe not. You can use your right hand for support in front of you. Some of you will step your leg over. For me, that's too much on my back, particularly on this side. So I'm going to keep my knees forward and just push with my right hand to get me a little deeper. Drop that shoulder blade down, pull the shoulder back, and then breathe. Again, the wall is an option if the floor is not working for you for any reason. Five more breaths. And then start to make your way out of that and coming onto your back. Finding a comfortable position for your final rest. Now you're going to take your two peace fingers and straddle. I'm going to just do one side because I have my microphone on the other. You're going to straddle your ear on both sides. You'll do both. And just rubbing the front and the back side of your ear, putting whatever amount of pressure feels good for you. Doing that 4 or 5 times. And you feel like you've done enough of that for yourself. Just laying your arms down by your sides, taking a big, big, big breath in through your nose, holding the breath. And this time, open your mouth and let it all go. Your body melts into the earth. Just allowing yourself to soften, relax. Please take this time for yourself. Thank you for joining me this morning. Stay nice.